My name is Mark Krayenhoff van Leur, and I design clothes under my label Mjkvdl. Let's take a look at some more of my designs. The concept that's behind a lot of my designs is the idea of total integration. I've found a number of ways to express this idea. Years before I started sewing, I would sometimes idly wonder, is it possible to make a shirt out of striped material where all the stripes line up? If you look at a normal off-the-rack garment, this never happens. The stripes on the arm don't align up with the body, the stripes on the body don't line up with the yoke, and so forth. But it is possible to make all the stripes match up. I made this robe for my husband, the artist AA Bronson, to wear for a performance. I don't have the actual robe to show you, as it was bought by the Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam and is in their collection now. This is the front. It's made of 96 unique pieces of striped fabric, plus there are accessory pieces. There are no traditional pattern pieces, like a sleeve or body panel, just a continuous three-dimensional patchwork that forms the entire garment. Here's another approach to the concept of total integration, this time done with a printed pattern rather than stripes. On a normal shirt, the pattern is printed on the fabric, then the panels are cut out and it's sewn together. Of course, the pattern can't match across the seams. So you're thinking it's not possible to do this, right? But it is. This is one of my rare shirts that uses a standard shirt pattern. I designed the pattern on the computer. I use AutoCAD, the drafting software for architects. I know there are programs made specifically to design clothing, but I've used AutoCAD for 30 years and I know how it works. So I made my design and sent a JPEG with the entire pattern on it to a print-on-demand service. They printed the design on fabric and sent it back. I designed the pattern carefully so that it matches up across all the seams. I used clear nylon thread so that it wouldn't stand out against either color, so that the continuity of the pattern is not interrupted. I like how there's a figure ground reversal from top to bottom. At the middle and bottom, obviously the dark brown shapes are the figures. But at the top, the brown figures are so dense that the background starts to read as figures. There's no pattern repeat anywhere on the shirt. It's different everywhere you go. Of course it's more work, but I find it more interesting that way. Here's another shirt. I call it the geometric drawing shirt. It's kind of like a blackboard at the end of a geometry lesson. Don't ask me where my ideas come from, they just pop into my head, usually when I'm half asleep in bed. I often start with hand sketches to explore concepts before moving onto the computer to make precise drawings. Here is my first conception of the overall design of the shirt. Here I'm starting to look at different geometries. More of the same, more detail, that would be the pocket. This is the detail for the shaping around the shoulder. This is for the side seams, how to get the shaping between the side seam and the sleeve. Here's an idea for the cuff, and more ideas about geometry and geometrical shapes. There are many sewing techniques on this shirt. Here is pulled threads and laddering. Here's some hand sewing. Of course, this is machine sewing. Here's the pocket. This part here is lightly padded and it's sewn from the back, the same way that a patch pocket is sewn on a suit jacket. I'm using voile again because it's a bit transparent. That way you see the double layers and the seams, which all have a decorative component. Some of this is purely decorative, but a lot of the shapes are functional as well. For instance, this dart gives a bit of shaping across the back. Here's the pattern for the body. It's one main piece that gets a lot of small pieces inserted. I put inserts here at the sides, which is what gives it shape around the waist. When you're at rest, your arm bends towards the front. But in a normal shirt, the sleeve simply goes straight down. But on a suit jacket, the sleeve is slightly curved to follow the natural shape of the arm. So this detail here, and also this dart on the back, give a bit of shaping to the arm. Also, on a normal shirt, there are pleats here to gather the fullness of the sleeve into the cuff. On my shirt, I've got two variations that give the same effect. On this side, there's a padded oval shape, and on this side, it's open. But both details function in the same way as the pleats on a normal shirt. I've done a lot of strangely shaped pattern, but the arm on this one is perhaps the weirdest. But I should clarify that even though a lot of my designs have very unusual patterns and are quite striking, the fit is always normal. The shape and silhouette are the same as a standard garment. So far, at least. I'll probably make more extreme things in the future with different silhouettes. This is one of my more rare designs in that it doesn't have a conceptual basis. I call it Crochet Pixels. I bought all the pieces on eBay. It was the most bizarre experience buying this stuff, like falling down a rabbit hole. I bought a bunch of the squares from a woman living in the suburbs outside of Seattle, Washington. Her stuff was really good, in lots of color combinations. The yarn names were things like Monet Mix, Mexican Fiesta, and Copper Mist. I asked if she could make some of her squares in different sizes, and the answer was a flat no. She does what she does, and that's that. These ones were called Lilac Sparkle. These are bookmarks, and this is a 1:12 scale dollhouse blanket. How could I resist? So after my eBay crochet buying rampage, I decided to make my own granny squares. Well, squares and rectangles, actually. The concept behind this one, or perhaps I should say the value, is to be true to one's nature. This is a strong drive behind everything I do. Years ago, when I was a young man, it was considered shameful and sinful to be gay. I spent years hating who I was, hoping to be somebody else, and trying to change. That's behind me now, I'm glad to say. But it left me with a very strong desire to never pretend and to always honor who I am. Having integrity is extremely important to me. So in my own life, as well as in my design work, I try to discern what the basic nature is of something, whether it's knitting, crocheting, or sewing, and develop ideas from there. In my clothing, I'm never trying to create an illusion or a fantasy. My designs may be complex, but they're always straightforward and show themselves clearly. So back to our granny squares, the question is, what is the nature of a square or a rectangle, and how far can that take me in making a tank top, or vest for our friends from the UK? A tank top has these curved edges, and of course you could make the crochet follow these lines, but for this designs, I wanted to let my squares stay square. So by making various sizes and proportions of them, I could get this close to the edges. And then to fill in the rest, I thought of a different technique, sort of like a suspension bridge. I told you I was an architect. So that's it for this episode. I'll make more of these videos in the future as I have lots of other projects on the way, like this one or this one. So keep an eye out.